Hey, what's up everyone? It's Mel from Fortin Amps, and in this video we're testing out the Tempest with the JCM2000. Alright, so as you guys may or may not know, the JCM2000 is one of my favorite amps. I've used it on many demos on the channel. I used it as the primary amp choice that I had for the 9-string demo, which I thought fit in perfectly. I've also had great success using it with the Fortin grind. And the JCM next to the Mesa was an early favorite from the 2000 eras of metalcore. So all in all, the JCM2000 is a solid amp, but will it work with the Tempest? The thing about the JCM that I found a little bit strange while doing this video is that it is a super bright amp that doesn't have a ton of beefy bottom end. So the chug is full, but only in certain contexts. And I personally feel like while the Tempest does a great job of pushing high output, it doesn't necessarily need an overdrive to push the amp in that direction. Since the JCM is inherently bright, I found myself using the pedal way more as a boost rather than an overdrive. So since the JCM2000 was an early favorite for metalcore and a favorite for that high gain Marshall sound, let's see if it works out with the Tempest. So now that you've heard the demo, let me break down a couple of my thoughts on the tone, and let me tell you exactly how I got here. So since the JCM2000 is an inherently bright amp compared to the Mesa or the PV6505 or the 5150, I personally felt like most of this tone I was trying to get a bunch of my low end back to get that energy and that chonky chug back. But the thing that was strange is every time I tried to bring back the low end, even though I cleared up the low end here, I found myself getting a ton of mud with just how the amp works. So I ended up playing around a lot more with the mic positioning versus dialing it in the amp. I found myself playing with mic placement a lot more in this demo versus just keeping it where I usually have it. Also, as far as the gain structure, I felt like the more I used the red channel and the more I cranked the gain up, it felt muddier and muddier even though I was using Fishman pickups and the Tempest. For this demo, I felt like I needed bottom end signal to come out of the guitar just to fill out that low end, especially since I'm not in a crazy down tuning, I was just in C. And so because of that, I found myself rolling back just slightly on the Tempest high pass and dialing back a ton more than I usually would with the low pass. Being that the pick attack and since the amp is so bright, I just wanted a little bit of the scrape to come through, but I didn't want it to become too harsh. So I used this knob to dial in the harshness of my guitar tone while I use this knob to dial in the tightness. In retrospect, I feel like the JCM is a bit of a harsh amp to use with the Tempest in this specific tuning, but I still like the tone that I got nonetheless. I do feel like I should tackle this demo again with a more extended range guitar, probably something in an A or G or maybe even E tuning, with a bigger focus on a 7 and 8 string sound rather than going for something in C or above. While I do think that the Tempest sounds great with guitars in C standard or above, I feel like it greatly favors those low-tuned guitars, especially when paired with the JCM2000. The deep knob on the JCM I felt like added that body and sound that I was looking for that I couldn't get while turning it up. The JCM has a cool feature called the tone shift, but every time I pressed it in, I just felt like I just got this weird, strange, low-end amp, super scoop sound that I wasn't really keen on, especially when dialing in this tone. I went with the green channel because I felt like going with a high gain structure really didn't fit, especially when I was trying to use the Tempest to its fullest potential to accentuate the amp. So instead of going with the red channel, I went with the green channel. I felt like it had a cool sense of dynamics, and I felt like it allowed the Tempest to do its job while driving into the front end of the amp. As for the drive, I left it at about 9 o'clock just to give me a nice sense of compression without completely losing the dynamics in my sound. Just a little bit of overdrive went a long way when rounding out my chugs and evening out my playing. And as far as the level, I kept it at about 3 o'clock to push it as much as I could into the amp without the amp freaking out. So after breaking down all of those settings, here's a few portions of that demo again, but isolated, just so you can hear the tone in full detail. Alright, so there you have it. There's my tone breakdown and demo with the Tempest through the JCM2000. Alright, so stay tuned for next week where I'll dial in the JCM2000 with the Tempest again, breaking down in real time how I do it. I hope you guys dug this video, and if you did, hit the thumbs up button, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments below how you would dial in this tone with your amp, or if you would like me to try this pedal out with any other amps. Again, my name's Mel from Fortin Amps. I said amps like 7 times, and I'll catch you on the next one.